Hello, my name is Tom McGibbon, and I'm Director of the Cybersecurity and Information Systems Information Analysis Center. Today we have a demonstration that's going to be given by Struan Clark from IDT on the automated test and retest. This is a follow-on to a webinar that we at CSIAC had last week, I believe it was. I realize you're going to have to pause your recording to capture this web address, but there is a web address at the bottom of this slide that shows you where you can go to see the video of that original recording. So at this point, though, I will turn this stand over to Struan.
Hi, I'm Struan Clark. I'm a software engineer with Innovative Defense Technologies. We're an information technology business headquartered in Arlington, Virginia, and we provide a DOD-approved integrated automated testing solution called ATRT. I'm going to be demonstrating the test manager portion of that today. We also provide automated testing strategies. We help improve test programs. We have a formal training and certification on the product. We do webinars, and we have more information at our site at www.idtus.com. Today I'm going to go over sort of a general introduction to the ATRT software. I'm going to set up a simple test case. I'm going to set up a DNC connection to a server. We also support the RDP protocol. I'm going to go through the hierarchy, which is sort of the layout of your test within ATRT. I'm going to capture a few actions against a live system under test via this DNC connection. I'm going to introduce you to the canvas and modeling tool, which is sort of the main test design phase. And then I'm going to do a few more demonstrations, one of OCR, and then I'm also going to execute this test and show the reports. So I'm going to switch over to the product now. So this is ATRT Test Manager. I'm going to jump right in and show you how to create a connection. First thing you do is open up our site connections at the top here, and you can specify any system that has a VNC connection or RDP. This system is going to be a VNC connection. So for the name, I'm just going to call it SUT for System Under Test. The host, I specify an IP address. And then I specify a port and password. I hit Save and Connect. And you see I'm now connected to a system under test that I can begin to capture actions from. And this is actually hosted on a separate system. And we're viewing this through VNC. On the left-hand side here is the site view. This is our hierarchy, our left-hand list. Basically, this is how you're going to lay out the organization and flow of your test. So underneath the site, at the top level, the first thing we create is a project. This project is where you're going to store pretty much everything for your test. I'm going to open up the editor for that and just give it a name. Call this one Test Project. And everything within ATRT is saved on the fly. There's no need to do a file save or anything like that. So if anything happens, you can basically, your work is saved. Within this project, I'm going to create a test case, and this is the main unit of executable work that we're going to be running today. I'm going to call this test case Open Calculator. Within the test case, I'm going to create a test step. And the test step is where we'll actually start seeing the basically the information where we create the test itself. This test case, I'm going to call this Open Calculator with desktop icon. And you see this test step actually shows up on the flow here of the test case. So within this test step, I'm actually going to drag it over so we can see both the system under test and the test step at the same time. I have a few capture buttons here. And what these are, these allow me to basically record actions from the system, and then later I'll be able to play those back. So this test step is Open Calculator with desktop icon, so I'm going to capture doing that. First thing I do is I select to turn on my image capture state. And you see I have an icon down here for my calculator. I'm going to draw a box over that, a process which we call rubber banding. And now that I have that box drawn, you see I have a few more options here. So I'm going to perform a left double click to open that up. I select that, and you see the calculator opens on my remote desktop. And also the action shows up in the canvas, basically showing the flow characteristics of my test. So now that I have this calculator open, I'm actually going to perform a few actions using it. The first thing I'm going to do is verify that the calculator opened up correctly. And to do that, I'm going to select the calculator title bar and then perform another action, which is a verify image. And this is basically just going to check that that image appears on the screen. It's not going to perform any clicks. So now I've double-clicked over my calculator and done a verify. Close these out. So now I have this open calculator test step. I'm going to create another test step after that to perform some actions. This test step, I'm going to say, is called perform addition. And I double click to enter that test step again, and you see I have another blank canvas ready for capture. So for this, I'm going to turn on the image capture tool again. I'm just going to do 1 plus 1 equals, and you see a number 2 appears, and I can just select that and do verification. So you can see it's pretty fluid to capture a test using the ATRT software. The next thing I'm going to demonstrate is playing this test back, this simple test that we've created. So to do that, I'm going to reset my SUT to the initial state, and what I mean by that is basically I'm just going to close out the calculator. So now I have these 2 test steps. One of them contains the actions to open up the calculator and verify that it's opened. The other one contains the actions to perform the addition. So to execute a test, we go to the test case level, right-click on that, and say debug execute. And you'll be able to see this begin to play back. Perform a double click, type 1 plus 1 equals, and then verify it to 2, and I get a notification that the test itself has completed. So now one of the things that you may notice is when I close out of this calculator, my test is a little bit, my system state is a little bit different here. The calculator icon is actually selected. So if I try and run this test again, like so, ATRT is going to attempt to double-click that calculator icon, but it's not going to be found. So I'll show you how to debug that situation. So notice that my action has failed and my test has paused. So if I want to see why that action failed, I can right-click on it and say debug. This opens up the GUI debugger view and shows me how my screen looks and the image target that I was looking for. And you can see they're slightly different here. One of them is selected, the one that's currently in my system, and the one I'm looking for is not. So to fix that, I can select to capture a new image target. And to do that, I say toggle recapture from the GUI debugger, select this new icon, and then select save. And now you can see my test will run successfully whether the icon is selected or deselected. And I'm going to play that back so you can see that. So it performs a double click and does the addition just as before. So one of the other things that we can do is we can perform sort of more complex tests using sort of if statements. So I'm going to do a quick example of that. So one of the things I'm going to do is, what if I don't want to open a calculator every time I want to perform this test? If my system already has a calculator open on it, there's no need for me to reopen a new one. So we can actually constrain the flow in such a way that that action is performed. So here's my initial flow to open the calculator. So I want to change this around a little bit. What I want to do is I want to place a verify image at the very beginning of the flow. And what this is going to do is it's going to check and see if the calculator is open before I perform any actions. So now I'm going to draw some edges off of this. So this flow, I'm going to place some constraints on. So basically, if I find this image, in other words, if this action passes, I no longer want to try and left double click on the calculator image. I just want to skip right over it. So for my pass constraint, I'm just going to skip right over that action. And then I'm going to create what we call an executed constraint. And that's going to be if the image is not found, it's going to be marked. I'm going to set this action so it is marked executed in our advanced editor here. So on action failure, this is going to be marked executed. And it's going to traverse this executed edge like so. So now let's see what happens when I play this back. Perform another debug execution. It's going to look for that image. And you see the image was found, so it immediately started typing on the calculator. And now if I close the calculator out and execute, ATRT is going to know that the calculator is no longer open, so it's going to open it up so we have it there to perform the test on. And you see the test is performed again. So one of the last things I'm going to demonstrate is OCR, which is optical character recognition. OCR is basically a way for us to, instead of just verifying that the image appears on the screen, we can actually pull out the data itself. So to do that, underneath my test case, I'm going to create another test step. And this one I'm going to call OCR result. Arrange all here, clean up the flow. So I have the OCR result, test step, and my system under test. So for this, I'm in the current state. After I perform my addition, I'm going to capture what we call an OCR action. An OCR action allows me to scrape the screen and pull out the actual data itself. An OCR action is anchored, which means that it can be done on any image on the screen. Therefore, we want to pick another image to select and then find an offset from that image, and that's where we're actually going to pull the data from. So the constant image that I'm going to pick, I've already rubber banded it, is this help logo, because it's always going to be in the same place. And I'm going to draw another box over the number 2. And then you see my menu up here on the capture toolbar has changed. I have the ability to perform OCR. So I'm going to perform an OCR preview. And the OCR preview basically just shows how my OCR action is going to execute. You can see my original image is a 2. I perform a little bit of image processing here to get an OCR image, which is then converted into an OCR text. And you can see I can select this. This is actually a computer readable format here. So I'm going to select capture that action. And then now that I have pulled that value in, I can do things with it using parameter edges. So you can see if I do a drop down on this OCR image on the left-hand list, it has an output of image string value. And what this means is that image that I'm OCRing and getting a value for, I can pass that into other tools within ATRT. So for example today, the one I'm going to pass it into is a parameter receiver action. And what this will do is this will pause my execution and show me that value. So I'm going to select that and place it on the canvas. And you can see I automatically get this blue line drawn. And what this is a parameter edge. This line will actually carry the data from the first action to the next action. I'm going to open up the editor for the parameter receiver action and do a little bit of configuration. I'm just going to tell it to pause execution upon receiving a parameter. Now I'm going to re-execute this test from the top. Test is executing. The calculator is already open, so we don't try and open it again. Perform the OCR, and you see I receive a parameter of type string received with a value of 2, which is exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting that number 2 to come in a system readable format. Now that we've ran a few tests, I'm going to show you how the reports look for this. To do that, I'm going to go to reporting, open reporting, hit refresh here, and you see I have a few reports from what I've executed today. So I'm just going to pick the final one. ATRT is going to prepare a report for me. And you can see I have information on every action that we've executed here. And I can also view the images for these actions as well. This report is a little too detailed for most cases since it tells you how every single action was executed. We also have a summary report that shows how each test step executed and whether it passed or failed. And these reports can be exported to several formats, including PDF, HTML, Excel, and Word. So that's all for the demos I have today. I'm going to go back and do a little bit of closing. Today we discussed in demos a few features of ATRT Test Manager. There are many more features that we couldn't cover in this short demo. We have various webinars that we've done on our website, and you can also go to our website for training requests, more information, and to download an evaluation copy. You can also contact us at idtus.com/contact. And that's all I have for today.